What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I've had a few requests about what type of winch bumper I have on my Dodge here in a previous video, and so I had a video filmed actually before we got put on national lockdown and everything, describing some of that and why there's a Harbor Freight brand winch on here instead of the Warren winch that I had on here. And during the making of that video, I smashed one of my fingers because when I was installing the Harbor Freight winch, the bolt pattern is slightly different. I had to drill two holes in here, and whenever I was drilling the holes, the drill caught and pushed my finger up against this edge of this plate right here as I was drilling over inside of here like this, but with the opposite hand, and it squished my finger up against here. And so after all that happened, I lost about half the video footage from the video, so the video didn't turn out. And so I have a couple more videos that is filmed and uploaded that I have not released yet, because without the first video they kind of don't make sense, I suppose, because it's kind of like starting in the middle of a sentence or something. You're like, what is he talking about, kind of deal. So anyway, that's what happened with that video. So I'm kind of remaking this, so to speak. But basically, you guys have seen the video of me trying to pull the gooseneck trailer I have with the big tractor that I have, and it could be done with this truck in an emergency case. It's not ideal. I was thinking about selling one of my vehicles to maybe do something different, and because I'm paying insurance on all this stuff, it's sitting here, I thought, well, maybe I should get rid of one of them, you know. And so the Duramax with the Allison definitely pulls the trailer better, even though this truck here is actually has less miles and in better shape overall. You know, it lacks a couple things, like it doesn't pull that trailer real well, obviously, and the back seat is pretty much non-existent. I mean, this is a quad cab instead of a crew cab, so the back seat leg room is non-existent. So that's a couple of things, downsides of it. But other than that, it's a good truck. It's a dependable truck. And so I thought, well, I'll put it up for sale just to see if anybody's interested. And if it sells, great. If it doesn't sell, that's fine too. I don't have any problem with keeping it. But I didn't want to put it up for sale without swapping my winch out, because I want to keep my Warren winch. And nobody's going to pay extra for the truck just because it has a Warren winch on it versus Harbor Freight winch. So I went to Harbor Freight. They had a sale on these winches, and I bought two of them. There was no limit on them, and I found that out when I first went over there. They charged me full price, and I got back home, and then I found out there was a sale because I didn't look beforehand, and the guy should have you know, been nice enough to tell me, hey man, these are on sale. If you got a coupon, you know, you can look on your phone. He didn't bother to tell me that. They were $100 off a piece. And so when I first went over there, I just bought one to do this. And when I got back home, I was looking and I found out that they were off on sale for $100 a piece off. So I went back over there, and I wound up getting my $100 back that I should have got discount, plus I bought another winch. And the other winch deal will be in a separate video, but basically that's how we wound up with the Harbor Freight winch on this truck. And after all that happened, that's when we got put on national lockdown, and then I'm pretty sure you couldn't sell this truck even at half price, because nobody has a job right now. At least half of America doesn't seem to have a job right now, and the other half's probably not buying anything. So that means that I just have a Dodge truck with a Harbor Freight winch on it, I suppose. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't use the winch that much anyway, and it actually looks better because this fairlead is not all messed up. It's new looking. So that's what we wound up on that deal. So the following couple videos you guys will probably see. That's kind of what they were leading up to. Is you know, this video was supposed to have been before those, and then kind of went over everything and made more sense. But anyway, hopefully you get the gist of it. As far as the bumper setup that a couple people was asking about, this is a Warren Gen 1 Transformer series bumper that Warren made for their, this one's the large. The difference was the plate carrier here was the large for the M12000, 15,000, 16.5 TI winches, and this ZX12 Harbor Freight winch was the same bolt pattern except for the Warren winch bolted in these two holes here and then here, and then it had two coming from the bottom and the back of the winch. And this winch here only has 4 bolts, which bolts through the bottom, so I had to drill 2 extra holes, the other 2 lined up, and then these 2 for the fairlead don't actually go into the winch. They have a nut on the back side of it here, and a little stubby bolt that just holds this fairlead on, where in the Warren application, the bolt actually goes through into the winch. So that's all you got to do if you want to swap a large series Warren for Harbor Freight, is the drill 2 more holes in the mounting carrier in this application. And the controller that Harbor Freight uses is actually the same pin-wise. A Harbor Freight controller will plug into the Warren, and the Warren will plug into the Harbor Freight winch. So that's what these are supposed to be based off of, I suppose, is the cheaper line of Warrens, not the Warren M series. But anyway, so I want to keep my Warren M series basically. And so that's what we wound up here. But they made these winch bumpers in a Gen 1 and Gen 2, and it depends on what year model vehicle you have as to which one you can get, and they look totally different. The Gen 1 is anchored by these side plates, and this is your carrier. The Gen 2, I believe, if I remember correctly, is anchored by the carrier, and then your side plates are like separate. So they're different made. It depends on what vehicle you got before, or so you can figure out which one you need. You go to Warren's website or any of the off-road websites. You should be able to look up the part number that you need. Warren Gen 1 or Gen 2 Transformer series add-on winch bumper. For some reason, I did not put this winch bumper on here. The previous owner put this on here, and for some reason, they took a sawzall and sawed out the bumper behind here. So this is supposed to be just an add-on, and you're not supposed to have to do any of that to my knowledge. But I don't know why they took a sawzall out and sawed it out. They also had the winch when I bought the truck installed upside down. So whoever did it did not know what they were doing. And I didn't want to put a new bumper on the truck because with the winch on there, you can't see it. I'm guessing it does help the airflow some with the, the winch being up there. Maybe that's what they had in mind. I don't really know. I wouldn't have done it that way. But I went in with an angle grinder and kind of cleaned up this jagged cut because it looked like an alligator gnawed it off the way they did it. I went in with an angle grinder, kind of cleaned up the cut a little bit, make it look a little bit better. And it's not noticeable. I'm sure you probably can't see it from where you're at. You might see a little bit of it, but I'll take you up there and show you in just a second. But behind it, they cut that big square notch out and everything. But from a distance, you can't see it, so I never bothered with it. Most people don't pay that any attention anyway. But so that's the story on it. That was on there whenever I bought the truck. And you can also get it with the side hoops, these bolt holes right here. The side hoops, I'm talking about cover your headlights. You've probably seen those. That's an additional. And so there's a couple different ways you can go about configuring it, I suppose. I put the light bar on here. I just put the, drill the holes through here and order a light bar that fit just inside of here and mounted it up like that. Make it look a little bit better. And I really like the look of it. And it has protected the truck from a couple deer hits and all that, and it has come in handy in the rare case I need to use it. So that's one thing I really do like about the truck, and was a good selling point whenever I bought the truck, because I bought the truck at normal price and it had that extra on it. And I thought, well, that's good, it'll come in handy someday, and it did. But so that's the story with everything that I got going on, and you'll see that in the following videos, I suppose, kind of the away from this project and on to the next couple. And hopefully it'll kind of make sense of why I was doing some of the things in the other videos. It'll all add up and make sense. At least I hope so. Here's a little bit closer view of what I was talking about, where they cut this out right here, behind here. I don't know why they did that. Whoever had this truck, they did a lot of questionable things whenever I bought it and started working on it. There was a lot of things I wasn't sure about why they did, but that would be one of them. But anyway, like I say, you can't see it from a distance, so it doesn't matter. You can see the holes here I was talking about for the additional, I guess these were for different, I don't know if the hoops mounted, I guess depending on the options. Maybe these were for the different crossbars that go across, because they had them where you could get two, instead of just one bar up here, two coming across. There was different configurations for them. But that's what these were, was the Gen 1 Warren Transformer Series bumpers. Pretty solid, and I like the look of them, but they are pretty expensive. I don't know right off what this was, but I would think probably around $1,200 to $1,400, somewhere in there for the stainless option. I think they're a little bit cheaper if you get just the black steel instead of the stainless on the side plates. So nowadays it's about as cheap, almost as cheap, just to buy the whole off-road bumper. But anyway, if you're planning on putting something like this on and then pulling it back off when you sell the truck, as long as you don't chop up your bumper like that, I could see where that would be a good option. You could put it on the truck and then pull it back off the truck when you got ready to sell it, if that's what you wanted to do. So, a couple of different scenarios there for you. Hopefully this has answered some questions about what the winch bumper is that a couple people were asking about, and also answered some questions about the future videos that'll be posted, or the following videos that'll be posted, that there's going to be some questions about what is he talking about, because I think I made a couple of references to putting this winch on here, and if you didn't see this video, then that video is not going to make much sense why I'm talking about it. But anyway, so that's the deal. I had these videos filmed before we got put on national lockdown and all, and that's just how she goes. So hopefully that answers a few questions that people had about the winch bumper on the Dodge, as well as sums up some of the other things that will be taking place in the next couple videos I release. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.